Our protagonist Kurata is a genius programmer in the modern world who is loved by his peers even though he is a hardcore otaku who loves robots. One day, while going home with his newly bought action figures, Kurata meets his demise when a car hits him. In another dimension, Kurata is born into a noble family where he is named Ernesty and his family is going home after meeting the king of Frem Villa. Along the way, their carriage is attacked by an insectoid demon beast and while Ernesty's grandfather Lori and his mother Silentia try to tackle the smaller beast, another huge demon attacks the carriage in which Ernesty is sleeping. However, to their surprise, Ernesty's father Matthias and his companion come to their rescue, while Ernesty has a flashback of his previous life as he watches the robot-like humongous machines. Meanwhile, after a furious battle, Matthias and his partner manage to defeat the demon beast, and Matthias explains that they were scouting the area when they heard that the demon beast is attacking this part of the kingdom. Matthias tries to hug his son who is more interested in the robot in front of him, which makes Matthias claim that it is a silhouette knight, a tech that works by converting magical powers into some kind of fuel that drives the knight. The look on Ernesty's face makes Lori suggest that he can become a knight runner in the future who drives these silhouette knights. But he will need to work on his magical powers and swordsmanship skills. As the days go by, Ernesty's combined expertise in programming and magic propels him to remarkable advancements as he works diligently under his parents' supervision and excels in sword fighting and magic. At the age of 5, he befriends a Dayan kid, who asks Ernesty to share his magical knowledge, and along with his friends, Ernesty enrolls in Lahiala Pilot Academy at the age of 8. At the academy, they aid Batson, a dwarf mechanic, who is bullied by some other students. With Batson's help, Ernesty creates a gun staff and asks his teachers for exemption from basic magic class by proving his skills and joining the Silhouette Knight Advance course. 3 years later, Ernesty and Batson discuss Silhouette Knight construction when they sneak on the mechanics assembling the huge machine. After that, the students are gathered for a forest field trip. They meet senior students Edgar, Dietrich, and Helvi, escorted by Stefania, the student council president. Stefania takes a liking to Ernesty, making Adele jealous, and the twins reveal their illegitimate status as they state that Stefania is their half-sister. At night, Ernesty explores the Silhouette Knights, encountering Edgar and his early comer unit. However, demonic beasts invade, forcing camp evacuation, but Ernesty and his team, along with Silhouette Knights, rescue the senior students and defend against the beasts. Meanwhile, a colossal turtle-like beast approaches a checkpoint. In a forest, demon beasts rampage, while Stefan informs his seniors that a divine-level beast is closing near their location, which makes the captain orders Stefan to relay a message. While the Night Runners attempt to fend off the colossal behemoth at the castle, but their efforts fail, resulting in casualties. Ernesty and the Silhouette Knights rescue the students, with minimal damage, making Stefania express her gratitude by hugging Ernesty, causing jealousy among the twins. Meanwhile, Ernesty questions the sudden appearance of the demon beasts, suspecting external influence. At Jantunen, Stefan reports the behemoth's potential path toward the capital through the forest where students are training and the limited Silhouette Knight forces available. Concerned about the students in the forest, all nearby Night Runners assemble under Stefan's command. As the behemoth approaches, Ernesty, Addie, Kid, and Stefania guide students to safety, and Edgar leads Silhouette Knights to distract the behemoth while others launch fireballs. As the seniors engage in a fight, one of them dies at the hands of behemoth's fire, which makes Dietrich flee. On the other hand, as everyone leaves on carriages, Ernesty spots Dietrich Knight Guar and hits him, while Ernesty uses his programming skills to control it while feeling overjoyed by piloting the robot. Back at the carriage, Ernesty's friends speculate about his actions, suggesting he might ride a Night Runner. The behemoth threatens everyone, as Helvi fails to harm it, and the Guar unexpectedly leaps into the air and energetically attacks the behemoth, eventually stabbing its left eye. Helvi is rescued while Ernesty stays to destroy the behemoth's catalyst crystal, causing Dietrich to wake up in shock. But Ernesty silences him. The Guar's sword is damaged, but Ernesty finds a replacement, while the Guardian Knights from Jantunen arrive, and Ernesty plans to impress by taking out a leg. The commander commands Ernesty and orders an attack, but Ernesty knows it won't be easy to defeat the behemoth as it releases its powers. Despite the fiery breath, Ernesty refuses to give up and stabs its leg, depleting its magic. The commander orders another attack, but the Guar succumbs to metal fatigue, which makes Ernesty's hands control back to Dietrich, who activates Air Bullet, and Ernesty leaps onto the behemoth's nose, touches the sword handle, and kills the furious monster with an electric shock which damages behemoth's brain. The next day, Edgar apologizes to Dietrich, but Ernesty surprises them both by getting out of the Guar. At Layala, Adai confirms Ernesty's actions, and Ernesty remains determined to create his mech. The Emperor Ambrosius learns of Ernesty's victory and his connection to Lori and asks the advisors to summon him. In Schreiber Castle, Laurie presents his grandson Ernesty to the king, who offers a reward for defeating the behemoth. However, Ernesty shocks everyone by requesting the classified schematics of an ether reactor, the kingdom's greatest treasure. The king, amused by Ernesty's ambition, agrees on the condition that he builds an impressive silhouette knight body first if he wants to get information about the ether reactors. At Marquia's mansion, Zaladek instructs his illegitimate children to inform him of Ernesty's success, so he can report to the king by claiming that this will benefit Ernesty in the long run. In Lilalia, the dwarves work diligently under David's supervision and question Guar's condition. Ernesty approaches him out of the blue and claims that he was responsible for Guar's current condition, which intrigues David's interest. David calls out Ernesty to discuss his plan to enhance a silhouette knight's performance by suggesting that they should use stranded crystal tissue instead of the current one, as it will increase the machine's strength, using Helvi's Trandorkis as a test subject. Ernesty and the dwarven engineers utilize stranded crystal tissues to strengthen the Trandorkis by 30%. Ernesty also suggests adding 2 sidearms equipped with magic rods to allow the silhouette knight to engage in close combat and cast spells simultaneously, even though the group is reluctant at first but still decides to add them as Ernesty pursues them. Later in the day, Addie and Kid ask Ernesty if they also want to help him in his quest for defeating the demon beast, so Ernesty, along with the help of Batson, constructs silhouette gears, smaller mesh suits that Addie and Kid used to train in piloting silhouette knights. However, Edgar feels a bit overwhelmed by the new technology, but Detrich supports him by showing off his little progress. After a few days, the Trandorkis, now named Telesdale, performs exceptionally well during its first test run. Subsequently, Helvi challenges Edgar, who feels reluctant by this new technology as he claims that the Night Runner experience is more important than the advanced technology. After that, Telesdale engages in a mock battle with Edgar's Earlcumber and nearly emerges victorious before running out of mana, which makes the group realize the next problem they have to encounter. Later that night, the engineers celebrate the success of Telesdale, while Ernesty contemplates new ideas for silhouette knights, making the dwarves sulk as they think about the coming hectic days. Meanwhile, a group is secretly observing their work with the help of a spy. As the days go by, David and the others work on increasing the efficiency of mana consumption by decreasing mana usage while also increasing the stability of the machine. Addie comes up with an idea by suggesting that Ernesty should make the mecha less humane, which triggers Ernesty's mind as he decides to work on the smaller machines to test out his theory. Ernesty adds 2 new functions to the gear and asks Kid to test them out, but the increased firepower makes them decide to halt the idea for some time. During classes, Ernesty decides to work on another knight frame as their recent ideas aren't giving any stability to the Telesdale framework. The principal, Laurie, visits the workshop where he gets surprised by the changes that Ernesty made in the recent machine and suggests that they should report to the government organization which works on making the silhouette knights. Addie and Kid also decide to tell their father about Ernesty's recent progress, which makes the Marquis Dixguard send out his platoon to get the new knights. The squad leader asks Ernesty's party to accompany them to the Dixguard mansion, while Kid feels that something bad is going to happen, which makes Addie worried. In the desert, the group encounters a dangerous shaker worm ambush. Towering over them, the massive creature threatens their lives, but with the help of Ernesty, Telesdale swiftly defeats the beast, using their magic bullets to bring it down. However, the ambush was orchestrated by the Order of the Bronze Fang, the spies monitoring Ernesty's progress so that they can capture these new machines. At Fort Cassates, Marquis Dixguard, who holds a grudge against Ernesty for his rapid advancements in knight design, confronts him personally, expecting Ernesty to be concerned about his work being reported to the king. The Marquis is taken aback when Ernesty remains calm, which angers Dixguard as he mocks Ernesty by claiming that it took the kingdom 300 years to make slight changes in the design. Understanding Dixguard's worries, Ernesty explains that his passion lies solely in the construction of silhouette knights. Ernesty's genuine words take Dixguard to the past as he remembers that King Ambrosius was also the same in his adulthood. The Marquis, still astonished by Ernesty's dedication, eventually relents and agrees to their deal, recognizing the young prodigy's unwavering commitment to his craft. At the academy, Ernesty's friends decide to visit him with Detrich's new Guar, while the spies decide to attack the Cassates' fort by causing a demon beast attack in a nearby village. Detrich test runs the new Guar and feels gloomy that they have to give this new technology to Dixguard, while Addie and Kid also join the party with the new gear. Meanwhile, the knights from the Dixguard fort help the people at the village and defeat the monster, while one of them goes towards the Cassates' fort to give a recent report, but the messenger is ambushed by Lady Kurhilt and her gang. Later in the night, Kurhilt and her subordinates sneak into the fort with the Silhouette Knight and kill everyone in sight. Kurhilt's gang attacks the warehouse where the new Telesales are kept, and the raiders take on every machine while they destroy the rest of them. Ernesty decides to enter the battlefield, but Dixgard stops him and asks his chief commander to take care of the situation. Commander Fredholm joins the battle, but Kurhild's subordinates help her in her escape, and Kurhild manages to leave with 2 telesales. Kurhild's party meets with Edgar and the others along the way, but as soon as she realizes that these are just students, she attacks them with hopes that they are just small fries, but they prove themselves otherwise, as only Kurhild manages to flee with Edgar and the duo in their pursuit. After receiving the news about the stolen telesales, Ernesty swiftly wears the silhouette gear and joins forces with Fredholm to confront the intruders at the fort. In a fierce battle, they manage to defeat the attackers and secure the area. Meanwhile, Dietrich, Kid, and Addie successfully fend off Lady Kurhild's subordinates, but she manages to escape to Vendabara HLA after overpowering Edgar. After that, Dietrich attempts to pursue Kurhild, only to find himself and his companions surrounded by demon beasts. However, their dire situation takes a turn when Ernesty and Fredholm arrive just in time to lend their assistance and manage to defeat the monsters. The following morning, Dixgard is astounded to discover that the intruders had used cursed bait, a forbidden substance known for attracting and agitating demon beasts. Dixgard deduces that this act was the work of another nation seeking to disrupt its operation. Days later, Ernesty and his friends are honored by King Ambrosius for their brave actions, as the king recognizes their exceptional abilities and establishes a new order of knights known as the Order of the Silver Phoenix, with Ernesty as its leader. During his recovery, Edgar makes a promise to Helvi that he will retrieve the stolen telestale, as it was originally her silhouette knight. Ernesty dreams about his robot action figures as they all approach the academy, while Addie hugs our squishy little hero. Elsewhere, the government organization receives telestales so that they can study them and mass-produce them with better technology. Chief Gazka feels threatened as a mere kid who managed to make something that they didn't think for 100 years, while Oliver is fascinated about the coming day as he thinks about the king's ambitions. At the king's end, Dixgard informs Ambrosius that he suspects that the countries beyond the mountain are responsible for seizing the telestale, so King builds another knight order, whose function is to infiltrate the surrounding nations and capture any loose ends at the academy. Back at home, Ernesty informs his family about his promotion, making Lori claim that Ernesty has finally taken over the school. LOL. The next day, Ernesty visits his group with a knight smith gear that he made with the help of a Magnes engine provided by the government, making David extremely. Meanwhile, Dixgard sends out 2 silhouette knight companies to provide Ernesty with his support regarding his research. After that, Ernesty informs his group that the king gave them the message that they will face the laboratory silhouette knights in 10 months, which boasts everyone's morale. As days go by, Ernesty and his company make new improvements, while their seniors, including Stephania and her classmates, graduate, making her hug Ernesty one last time before leaving, causing Addie to get jealous. After that, many new students join Ernesty's forces, in which Nora is also present and informs Ernesty that she is a spy sent by the government to take care of the secrecy at the academy. Addie visits Ernesty with the proposition that she also wants to be a knight runner, but Ernesty asks for her help first. Together with Kid and Baston, Ernesty test runs the new model, which results in a severe accident, but hopefully Ernesty survives. After the incident, Ernesty gets a handful from David, but Edgar intervenes as he asks about the new models. Ernesty claims that he wants Addie and Kid to run this machine, as it can only with 2 people who can work in unison. After countless experiments, Ernesty and his party complete their models just before the competition. At the arena, Chief Gazka introduces his new telestale model with increased efficiency, great durability, and less mana consumption, with increased output, making everyone comment on Gazka's efforts. After that, Ernesty's party is introduced, and they manage to take everyone's attention with the help of his centaurs, like the Knight Runner model and a carriage containing other newer models. After the introduction of all the knights present, the king orders for the match to begin, and Ernesty's party starts with a disadvantage of numbers, as they are 4 while the opposing party has 6 knight runners. Ernesty devises a plan, and as soon as the match starts, Ernesty showcases his new model that can fly at an accelerated rate. The opposing party gets on a rocky start as Ernesty and the others manage to catch them off guard. However, as the match progresses, the government Knight Runner takes the lead by damaging Addie and Kid's centaurs, while they also inflict damage on Edgar's Erlander. All of this is seen by Prince Imrise, who commends both parties for their resilience in the battle. However, as it seems like the government side is winning, Ernesty comes to his party's rescue, and the mock battle ends in a draw. The results of the match make Gazka excited as he asks Ernesty all sorts of questions, while Ambrosius informs Oliver that he might take Ernesty to the village. After that, Gazka works on mass-producing a new model while Ernesty and his friends, along with the rest of the Order, relocate to Fort Oropsius after graduation to dedicate themselves to the ongoing development of Silhouette Knights. Meanwhile, King Ambrosius decides to retire, passing the kingdom's leadership to his son, Leodemus. Approaching Ernesty, King Ambrosius presents a special request as he asks Ernesty to create new and exclusive Silhouette Knights for both himself and his grandson, Prince Imrise. Taking on the challenge, the Order sets to work and produces two remarkable units, each possessing extraordinary capability. One is painted silver and named Gilbariga, while the other, adorned in gold, is named Goldleo. When the time comes for both the king and his grandson to choose their desired Silhouette Knight, they find themselves drawn to Goldleo. To settle the matter, a duel is arranged between Ambrosius and Imrise, with the victor gaining the right to pilot Goldleo. After a hard battle, Imrise emerges triumphant, displaying his skill and earning the opportunity to pilot the coveted Silhouette Knight. Ernesty realizes during this eventful duel that King Ambrosius had orchestrated this competition as a means of testing his grandson's abilities. With admiration and respect for the king's wisdom, Ernesty continues his commitment to pushing the boundaries of Silhouette Knight's development. Kingdom of Feminviller receives news that a large horde of shell-cased beasts are making their way towards Ulfheim, while many experienced soldiers are trying their best to put a stop to their madness. In the face of a looming threat, the former King Ambrosius calls upon the Order of the Silver Phoenix to defend Ulfheim, the city renowned for developing ether reactors and home to the elves, making Ernesty angry as he decides to join the war. As the battle progresses, the Kingdom Knights face a dead end, but Ernesty and his party manage to get there on time. Alongside them, Ambrosius and Imrise also join the battle. Empowered by the new and formidable Silhouette Knight units, Ernesty and his comrades effortlessly repel the attackers. Ernesty decides to find the queen, and along with the twins he manages to deliver the decisive blow to the shell-cased queen. Following the intense confrontation, Ambrosius finally accedes to Ernesty's persistent request to learn the closely guarded secret of ether reactor creation. Before entering the sacred place, Oliver informs Ernesty that he is also an elf who acts as an ambassador between the two populations. Together, they journey to Ulfheim, where Ernesty seeks the permission of the respected Great Elder Kitli, the esteemed leader of the elves. With her blessings, Ernesty begins his journey as he immerses himself in the learning process, dedicating 3 months to comprehending the intricacies of ether reactor production. One of the engineers, Alv, guides Ernesty about the coding and maneuvering of the demon crystal as the ether reactor uses them for energy storage and consumption. This information makes Ernesty suggest that he can use the catalysts obtained from the slain behemoth and shellcase queen, while Ambrosius gives his approval as Ernesty was the one who killed them. Ernesty spends a total of 3 months in Ulfheim while learning and mastering all the secrets provided to him by the elves. After completing his training, Ernesty meets up with Kitli, who claims that she looks forward to their next encounter. Back at the fort, Ernesty devotes himself to making his very own ether reactor, while Nora gives him reports about her recent work, making Addie jealous. However, Nora explains her role in Ernesty's life, making Addie happy. Meanwhile, Ernesty creates a custom ether reactor, a unique masterpiece to power his own personal Silhouette Knight, Ikaruga. The Zaladek kingdom launches a full-scale war with the ambition to conquer the entire Western continent, as their leader claims that they are the rightful heir to rule over the Western continent. Meanwhile, the king of Kushperchak consoles her daughter Eleonora that they will win the war as their defenses are extremely strong. However, armed with their advanced Silhouette Knights and formidable transport airships, Zaladek's forces swiftly bypass the defenses of the neighboring kingdom. Realizing their impending defeat, the king valiantly requests a duel with Prince Cristobal, the commander of the Zaladek forces, in a desperate attempt to buy time for his daughter, Princess Eleonora, to escape. Despite his courage, the king falls in battle, meeting his untimely demise while Eleonora cries as she tries to get back into the castle. However, Eleonora's cousin, Isodola, persuades her by claiming that she has to continue her father's legacy. Even though Eleonora tries to escape along with her Aunt Martina and cousin Isodola, they are captured by the enemy forces, leaving the Kushperchak kingdom in a state of despair. In response to this dire situation, King Leodemus dispatches the Order of the Silver Phoenix, led by Imrise, to investigate the circumstances and aid in the rescue of Eleonora. The enemies guarding the border with ease, the Order uncovers a shocking revelation. The Silhouette Knights employed by Zaladek possess the same technology as the stolen telestale from Fort Kassaitsis, leading them to suspect a connection between the thieves and the invading forces. This revelation makes Ernesty decide that they should take these machines with them, as it might help their mission. Meanwhile, Prince Cristobal forces Eleonora to be his wife, but she refuses, causing him to get angry, while Nora manages to get this information to the Order of the Phoenix. News of Eleonora's forced marriage to Prince Cristobal reaches Ernesty and his comrades, igniting a determination to rescue her from this plight. They begin formulating plans for her rescue. unaware that their presence has been detected by Christobal, who dispatches Gustav Mardones to track them down. A tense encounter unfolds between Gustav and Ernesti's party as Destrich and Helvi engage in a fierce clash with Gustav. However, as Destrich finally immobilizes Gustav, Kurhit intervenes as she realizes the overwhelming strength of their adversaries. Gustav manages to get away, while Destrich thinks that they need an effective plan in the face of these flying machines. As Ernesti's party infiltrates the kingdom, Emrise informs Ernesti that they are in the city which used to be filled with people. Quietly, Ernesti and Emrise manage to get to their base where the twins and Nora are waiting for them with the gear that will help them rescue the princess. All of them wear their suits and get ready for their mission to rescue the princess. Nora informs them that the princess is present in one of the castle's towers, but she doesn't know the exact location, which makes the group split as they stealthily approach each of the towers. However, as they all barge in, the noise attracts the nearby soldiers, while Kid is the one who meets up with scared Eleonora, while Emrise saves Isadola, who immediately falls into his arms. Meanwhile, as Eleonora feels worthless, Kid decides to act as her knight, which makes her follow Kid, and they manage to escape the castle together. Christobal sends a party on the airship to take back the princess, with Horatio boarding it, the person behind the mechanics of it. However, as they close in on the princess, Ernesti single-handedly takes care of the enemies, while he also commends the mechanics of the airship, and Horatio also feels prone towards Ernesti's silhouette knight even though his party runs away. After that, the group finds refuge at the secure location of Nishiri. Ernesti and his comrades establish a base and extend their support to the remaining Kushur-chan forces. In a mutually beneficial arrangement, they offer upgrades to the Silhouette Knights of Kushur-chan in exchange for salvaging the remnants of enemy units defeated by their forces. Empowered by these enhancements, the Kushur-chan soldiers effectively repel an enemy assault on the city, showcasing the newfound strength in their defense. As the princess feels down, Kid decides to boost her morale by taking her around the town, making Eleonora finally understand her duty as the kingdom princess. Meanwhile, Kurhilt, driven by her desire to reclaim her family's honor, is assigned the task of launching a surprise attack on the base of the Silver Phoenix to recapture Princess Eleonora. Unbeknownst to her, Ernesti and his allies have anticipated this betrayal and have made preparations to counter her assault. When the Bronze Fang Knights led by Kurhilt engage in battle against Ernesti's forces, they find themselves outmatched and ultimately defeated. Tragically, Kurhilt falls into a fierce confrontation with Edgar, sealing her fate. After that, Eleonora commends everyone for their duty, finally taking her duty as the queen. The utter defeat of Kurhilt's party makes Christobal extremely angry as he decides to take the matter into his hands while taking on various smaller holds to showcase his powers. However, as Christobal approaches Nishiri with all of his might to crush the rebels, the Order of Silver Phoenix uses a cunning trap, armed with javelin missiles capable of taking down enemy airships, which startles the army. As the battle unfolds, the airship releases their knights in the hope of getting the princess, but the superior Silhouette Knights of the Silver Phoenix quickly gain the upper hand, causing a wreck of havoc among the enemy knights. Christobal orders all of his ground troops to charge as he feels desperate in his attempt to capture the princess. But Emrise joins the battle with his mighty knight, causing the enemy to run. Cornered and desperate to escape, Christobal's airship finds itself confronted by the mighty Ikaruga, piloted by Ernesti. In a one-on-one duel, Ernesti effortlessly overpowers Christobal, who, in a final act of defiance, attempts to bribe Ernesti to join his side. However, Ernesti's unwavering dedication to his principles and lack of interest in nobility leaves Christobal with no option but to meet a tragic demise, choosing to fall to his death rather than endure the humiliation of capture. This devastating turn of events demoralizes Christobal's remaining forces, forcing them into a hasty retreat. This makes things easier for Kushpurcha's forces as they reclaim various areas, and Eleonora is ascended to the throne as the Queen of Kushpurcha. She declares the rebirth of their nation, fueling the resolve of the combined Silver Phoenix and Kushpurchan forces as they reclaim their lands. Ernesti also invests his time in studying the enemy flying battleship and realizes that they have a common flaw. Yet, the lingering threat of Zaladek remains, as Horatio, their esteemed scientist, promises Princess Catalina to avenge her brother's untimely death by constructing a new weapon. Months pass, and as the Silver Phoenix and Kushpurchan forces valiantly retake a fortress held by Zaladek, they are suddenly faced with Horatio's latest creation, a colossal airship resembling a drake, a fearsome ancient dragon whose attack almost obliterates various knights, as the monster comes closer by using Ernesti's technology. He realizes that he is facing a genius in the enemy ground. After hitting Ernesti's party, Dolodio shows his resolve that he will avenge Prince Christobal's death. Meanwhile, on the ground, Gustav's forces attack Dietrich and his party, and they engage in a fierce battle of swords. Although Gustav manages to take on the upper hand due to their ether reactor's ability to increase the output, Dietrich realizes his flaw as he attacks the Gustav Knight head-on, causing the system to shut down due to overheating. Gustav flees from his machine while Dietrich also reaches his limit as he watches Ernesty engage in a ferocious battle with Drake. Ernesty charges head-on and observes Drake's firepower, which comes from attached Knight gear, causing him to sulk. Man, Ernesty appreciates the aesthetics. However, as the battle progresses, Drake realizes a form of gas that causes Ikaruga to fall, and Dorodio launches another deadly attack, but Ernesty manages to survive. Dorodio receives a message from Gustavus to retreat, and they leave the battlefield due to extreme mana depletion. Ernesty and his companion also return to the checkpoint, where they decide to work on their strategies to take down Drake while they also discuss their defenses. Eleonora joins the discussion and decides to enter the battleground herself as her people are already dying. Meanwhile, Horatio adds a terrifying addition to the ship, claiming that with this huge blood ether reactor, their power limits will exceed that of Ikaruga, and asks to tag along as he also wants to meet with Ernesty's new creation. However, with great power comes great responsibility. Horatio suggests that it might drive Dorodio insane. Catalina also shares a part of their power with Gustav, with hopes that he might come fruitful in the upcoming final battle. After preparing for the battle, Eleonora gives a heartfelt speech with the resolve that they will take their capital back. On the battlefield, Ernesty's forces are divided into various parts, as Dietrich and Nora act as an anchor to support their comrade by infiltrating the enemy's castle. Meanwhile, Horatio commends Ernesty for plagiarizing his airship model while the fight begins. Ernesty, with the help of his new ship, lures Drake away from the main battlefield, where Ernesty's party executes a well-coordinated attack using javelin missiles armed with oil. The missiles ignite upon impact, engulfing the enemy ship in a raging inferno. As the ship ablaze, Horatio manages to sway Dorodio into activating the Drake blood reactor, generating a colossal energy shield that surrounds the ship, protecting it from further harm. Meanwhile, on land, a daring infiltration team seizes control of the drawbridge, opening the gates for the Kusher-chan forces to launch a full-scale invasion. In a fierce confrontation, Gustav attacks Edgar but faces utter defeat against Edgar with the assistance of Imrise, turning the tide of the battle in their favor. Back in the skies, Ernesty skillfully breaks through Drake's energy shield, launching a direct assault against the enemy ship. With unmatched skill and determination, he manages to overcome the formidable defenses of Drake, ultimately emerging victorious. In a final act of desperation, Dorodio attempts to ram Drake into the Kusher-chan base camp, targeting Princess Eleonora. However, Ernesty and Kid intervene, thwarting his destructive plan and ensuring the safety of their comrades while Drake is brought down once and for all, its threat extinguished. In the aftermath of the intense battle, the Kusher-chan forces seize control of the capital, securing a decisive victory over Zaladek. Tragically, Princess Catalina, unwilling to face capture, takes her own life. With Zaladek's defeat and Eleonora's unwavering leadership, she is recognized as the de facto ruler of Kush-Percha, bringing an end to the war. Before the group can leave, Eleonora meets up with Kid and tries to convey her feelings, but they both understand their position and decide to meet in the future. Upon their return, Ernesty finds himself under the watchful eye of Horatio, who survived the destruction of the Drake. Horatio, driven by a desire to face Ernesty in battle once again, departs in search of another country to offer his services. Back in Flemavilla, King Ambrosius commends the remarkable efforts of the Order of Silver Knights and rewards Ernesty with his laboratory, recognizing his exceptional skills and contributions. Ernesty shares his ambition with the rest of his crew, who decides to leave him to enjoy their dinner. As the world progresses, advanced airship technology is shared with neighboring countries, heralding a new era of trade and transportation across the continent. As peace and stability begin to take hold, the continent looks towards a future shaped by innovation, cooperation, and the lasting legacy of Ernesty and the Order of Silver Knights. That's all for today. If you enjoyed our video, do give us a like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content.